Good morning. My name is Renee. If this is your first time on this channel, then you don't know I'm crazy already, and apologies. I normally do not wear glasses, but today I'm actually having to look at things, so I apologize for the glare. I'm recording this at work because the light is much better. Danny can be in the background being psychotic. Say hey, Dan. Okay, so today what we're doing is the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan by Katrin Seeberger. And I'll show you what it looks like. Is there a picture? I think there's a picture of her in it. Yeah. Well, this is the back. I'm not going to go dig around because this is a paid-for pattern. I bought this. Danny, when was this like go crazy? It was so popular. I don't remember what year. Was it two years ago?
What?
The quilt cardigan. I feel like it was 2 or 3 years ago.
It was 2 or 3 years ago.
And everybody was making it. I had just learned to knit, I feel like, or I had knit maybe a sweater. So I was contemplating knitting it, but I wasn't crazy about how you could see all the floats. And I knew if I crocheted it, that I would be able to hide the floats, as you can see, because the floats are on the inside. If you look closely, you can see the green yarn is carried. And some people don't like the way that looks. You can still do the floats on the outside if you crochet it. Okay, so Christina from Chelsea Yarns is having a knit along for this cardigan starting in January of 2026, just in case this is not the current year that this is being watched. And I wanted to, like, this will give me a good incentive to finish. So the way, I'm not going to give too many details or specs about the pattern because we just discussed why, but the pattern, there's three sizes, and there's also like 25 inches of ease, like it's a very oversized. The designer wanted you to feel like it was a quilt, like draped over yourself. So the difference in the sizes is the difference in the size of the squares. So each size has the same amount of squares, so the construction is the same for every size. This pattern is knit with fingering held double, or people have chosen to do it in like a DK or a worsted. Since the original is fingering held double and crochet is like 2 times thicker than knitting, I just did fingering held single, and you can see it's nice and drapey. I have my squares out here, the ones that I've done so far. So these I started however many years ago, and all of mine are sprinkled fibers and Lobby Enemy scraps because that's who I have the most scraps from, and they both make like fun bright colors. Okay, so let's look at my notes here. If you do decide to crochet with fingering weight, I'm doing the second size. I'm using a 4mm hook because I want it to be drapey and not stiff like a rug, because you know crochet is stiffer anyway. I'm going to show you how to change color. Also, if you can do a square, do a swatch, whatever you want to do. If it's too big, I think the size, well, I'm not going to tell you the size because it's in the pattern. But there's a border row around the entire square. If you knit it, it's garter stitch, but I just added two extra single crochets, and there's 2 rows of single crochets along the bottom and top. If you can eliminate those if you find that or just do 1 if you find that your square is bigger than what you need. It's so oversized, I feel like you can just do whatever. I mean, I always feel like that because I make adjustments as I go. Another tip that I wanted to say is if you don't have Knit Companion, you need Knit Companion. Oh, let me not show you the whole pattern, but I just wanted to show you what I did to make the color work easier. You can see I wrote the numbers in, like how many they are, so just at a glance I know how many I'm doing of that color, so that makes it easier for me. Okay, and so the total of squares, oh, I also can't tell you that. It's weird talking about a pattern that you can't give specs about, but I am halfway through the number of squares that I need. I also think that I will be knitting the sleeves, which I often do, definitely knitting the ribbing because I enjoy knitted rib. It's more elasticy than crochet rib. My background, I have been crocheting for 45 years. I just learned to knit 3 years ago, and I enjoy doing both, but there are definitely, as far as wearables go, things that I like better about knitting, and ribbing is definitely one of those. So I will be crocheting all the squares and then knitting the sleeves and ribbing. Okay, and now I will show you how to change colors in your color work. And I also like to mention that if you're a crocheter and you want to make or use a color work chart from a knitted pattern, you can. They're all the same. Charts are charts. You can use them in knitting, crochet, cross stitch, needlework, beading, all the things. They all, always, if I am crocheting a knitting pattern, I just sub single crochet for the knit stitch, and in general go down a size. Like if it was a DK knitting pattern, I would go down to a fingering weight to crochet it, because otherwise it's going to be much bigger. Actually, I can show you an example. Okay, so back when me and Danny were baby friends, and this was our local yarn shop.
Wait, did you just say we're not best friends?
No, I said when we were baby friends. The shop did a make-along with Walcott yarns with the Mokum cowl. And I believe, was this Knitting Room My Life?
No, that was Salt and Stone.
Oh, Salt and Stone. It's called the Mokum, M-O-K-U-M, I believe. Anyway, so I was the only one in the group. I did not know how to knit at this time. So I crocheted the pattern, and Danny knit hers, but it's the same. We use the same size yarn, same pattern. So this is the proportions, the correct proportions. And then this is how big mine turned out. So you can see the difference if you're using the exact same yarn and the right size needle for that yarn. So if I wanted to crochet this again, instead of using the worsted weight, I would go down to like a sport maybe. So the size would be good. And it's still fine. It makes a great warm cowl, but I just wanted to give you some comparison about size. Okay, there's one other point of note. The quilt blocks are 36 stitches, but because you'll need a turning chain when you do your original chain, you need to chain 37 and then start. Let's get into this color work. Okay, so I'm starting on my next row. I wanted to work a full row that had several color changes, and it's really easy because I've written the numbers on the color work. So I'm going to knit the two.
Or crochet.
Crochet. Did I say knit?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, people.
I think you're a
Sorry.
crochet. I think
No,
you're a
no,
knitter
no,
now.
no. Okay, there's the two. And then, so the two always happens, and then there's the one green, and then I'm going to switch and do 7 pinks. But you always change colors in crochet on the pull through 2 of the last. So in this case, it's a single. So I'm pulling through on the last pull through 2. And now I'll do 7 singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, here's the last stitch. So on this pull through 2, I'm switching to green, and then I'm going to do 6 greens. And you can see the color that I'm not using, I'm having it sit on top so I can crochet around it, and that's what hides the floats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's that last stitch. Now I'm going to flip bring the pink through on the last pull through too, and now the green's going to set on top for 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, flip on the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're switching to pink. And I always give a little tug to the new color so it, you know, just in case I've looped over or anything, it'll straighten it out. Now we're doing 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then flip to your green, pull it through, a little tug. There's the 1 and then the 2 that you always do on the edge. That just gives you room to sew it together at the end. So that's how it's done. And you just work the whole chart just how it is, and then you'll sew all your squares together. That's how easy it is.